Well, Sean and I were down in Florida for the exclusive town hall with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. We got a chance to catch up with some Florida residents to discuss how COVID affected them and how the state responded to the pandemic. Take a listen.
Thank you guys for being here. JT, I want to start with you. You're in the restaurant industry. What was it like as a business to go through COVID, especially here in Florida?
Well, in the early phases of it, it was scary. You know, our mainstay business was open for 36 years at that point, you know. And I remember being in the room that last day and talking to our employees and saying, like, look, we got to shut our doors. That was a hard moment. My mother-in-law was right behind me, and she welled up and ran out the back. And I'm like, this is for real. This is a real threat. So when we went into lockdown, there was so much uncertainty. But on the bright side of it, you know, we had Governor DeSantis leading our state. And when we opened up the first time, I remember him saying, like, look, this is the last time we're going to go into lockdowns. And as a business, you know, we're able to trust that. We're able to bring back staff. We're able to have inventories on hand. And we knew that we'd be able to progress forward in our business, conduct business the way we thought we needed to. And that gave us the opportunity to keep fighting and to get to the point where we are here today. So
when we went out to dinner last night, the first thing that we see at the host stand there is a sign that says, your food may be delayed because we can't get enough people here. How's it been for you guys?
Similar, very similar.
And why aren't people returning?
You know, I mean, I think that the general consensus is that a lot of people are benefiting from the continued check that they're getting to stay home. You know, so for us, we're kind of just hoping that there's an acceleration to getting people back and encouraged to be back in the workforce. And a lot of businesses are trying to incentivize that on their own, you know, hiring, you know, raising wages, signing bonuses, et cetera. So we're doing everything we can to try to make that happen. We're fortunate to be in a state where we have business and we have positions open, but now there's a real pressing need to fill those positions.
Mm. You know, one of the big issues across the country has been schools. While they are open here in Florida, I know that Dr. Chris and Dr. Danielle, you all have a son, Christian, who is autistic and has had some issues having to wear masks to school. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, well, we are very, very fortunate that he's been able to return to the classroom because Zoom was not a good fit for our son with a communication delay and autism. But we moved him out of the public school because the language was very vague. And we moved him to a private school specifically for children with neurodiversities for autism. And we still have challenges with him being masked and with no exemption. And the only exemption being Zoom.
Yeah, the concern is that the school systems themselves are saying that they're exempt from the governor's executive orders because apparently the Florida Department of Education is telling them that they're exempt. But there's nothing on their website that supports that, and they can't provide any documentation of that nature. If you go to the Florida Department of Education's website, the director back in April listed a statement that said the data doesn't support masking in schools. There's no reason they should be wearing a mask, and they recommend to all the superintendents that it opens. But the individual school boards, we were at a school board meeting yesterday in Pinellas County, even with 90 parents up there trying to talk about it, there were medical doctors discussing how the masks are ineffective. You know, you guys have seen the data. Yeah. The data, the science supports it. But they're hanging their hat on a CDC guideline that supports no data. And so they just continue to say that they have to wear it.
So Governor DeSantis said this week that children should not have to wear masks. What has been the response to that, specifically in a state that's been so open?
Well, our particular county and this particular private school doesn't care. They're going to follow the CDCs. They don't care what those recommendations are. And they don't, honestly, they don't care about his exemption either.
And he has legal medical exemptions that are documented. Wow. And it violates the American Disabilities Act.
How does your son, though, react to this? Because, you know, he's trying his best, and he doesn't know that this is a CDC thing. He's trying to learn.
I think that the saddest thing is now he's just compliant because he wants to be at school. He hates it, but he just wants to be at school.
And we can really see the psychological impact that this is having long term. He's afraid not to wear it. He's afraid he's going to get in trouble.
Right.
So our larger concern is for the kids that are wearing it that don't need to wear it, or the ones that are forced to wear it. How is that going to affect them psychologically years to come? We've got no data on that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And so many people are struggling with all these unknowns that we've had to face as parents, as businesses. And Pastor George, you are meeting those head on as you meet people every day as a pastor here in Florida. Florida. What is your advice to parents and to people who have all these added pressures and concerns into their life now?
Yeah, there's no question. Americans are in pain, and COVID has exposed a tremendous amount of physical pain, emotional pain, spiritual pain. And I'm delighted that we were able to open up and address these issues because people were suffering. They were freaking out. They were panicking. My church is an older congregation, and they needed to have a place to go to worship, to get peace, to get a little bit of hope. And I'm glad that our governor declared us as essential. I mean, liquor stores were essential. I'm glad that churches were established as essential as well because we gave people hope in their darkest moments. Our church is 120 years old. This is the first time in its history we had to close down.
So if you're someone on the left, they would say, well, you can pray on Zoom, you can gather. What's the difference between gathering as a congregation online versus being able to go and sit in a pew or in a room and pray with somebody next to you?
Yeah, now we do both. So COVID has allowed us to do both. But there's something about the personal touch. And people need to see each other. They need to stay connected. And there's real power when people come together to worship. And I'm glad that we live in a state that we could do that and offer hope to people that were really hurting.
And what is this, do you talk to other pastors around the country to get their experience, best practices at all?
Yeah, there's some that are still closed down. So they are very envious of our state. And a lot of them have gone to Zooming and online services. But that doesn't replace the personal one-on-one experience that you get when you worship together.
Corey, you're a combat vet. You have a small business that's veteran-owned, that's military-based, correct? What have you seen as the impact of COVID on veterans? Is there anything that's different about what they're being offered, not offering, or experiencing?
Well, I'll tell you, the veteran community has always been, in my opinion, somewhat neglected, especially under, Democratic administrations. And what I've seen is that during this COVID lockdown, where you're not enabling people to actually be able to get out and go to work, and you're not giving a military veteran some type of purpose or some type of objective to force, themselves to go forward to, we're seeing an increase in suicide rates. And I think this is the thing where I look at the COVID data where it talks about, we have this many COVID fatalities. Well, that's kind of a skewed concept because they're not taking into account those who have committed suicide, those who are basically now in a depressant state, those who have overdosed on opioids as a result of this. And again, those are things that impact our veteran communities, especially when we're not able to get out and do something with purpose.
Yeah, I know that you started Packham Solutions. A lot of people were laying people off, but you chose a different approach. Tell us about that.
So again, I looked at this isn't America's fault. This is something that China introduced into our society. This is something that we didn't have the ability to try and prevent against because they held data and they didn't actually talk to us about it, even though they're allowing people from Wuhan travel internationally. They didn't do it domestically in their own mainland. And I just didn't feel like the people in our company should have to be suffering for this. So I told them, I gave them the option, hey, listen, if you are scared, if you are concerned, fine, you have the right to stay home. Your job is going to be safe no matter what. And on top of that, we're going to increase your cost of living allowance by 5% throughout the entire pandemic. So the whole point is that we shouldn't be penalizing Americans. We shouldn't be penalizing those who are out there trying to work in our workforce. And again, it was just a part of me that says that I should give back.
We do this a lot on the show with our company. So I want to do this with you guys since we're down here. Give me a grade for how Governor DeSantis is doing first. I'll run through y'all. And then give me a grade how you think the Biden administration is doing. So let's start with Governor DeSantis. Corey?
I certainly give him an A, especially for opening the economy, our educational system. He's done a great job.
A+, great leader, great vision.
A+.
A+, agree.
A+, I owe the futures
Wow.
of my children and our business to him.
Well, he's going to be happy about that. Wish you could take that class again. Corey, why don't we start? How's the Biden administration doing overall?
Well, again, they're incentivizing people not to work.
Right.
We're starting to see shortages. They already killed 100,000 jobs in the very beginning with the Keystone XL pipeline. Now we've got a shortage on gas. He's not handling our adversaries very well. So again, at this point in time, it's the Obama 2.0 model.
Okay, what's the grade?
It's an F.
Pastor?
He causes me to pray a lot.
Okay.
Good answer from a pastor.
Oh, wow. All right, guys.
Fail for me because he is furthering the fear, and that fear is trickling down to our small businesses, to our children, to our schools. and I don't see any end in sight.
Chris?
As always, I have to agree with my wife. You know, that's
Smart man.
But the concern is that I'm concerned as a parent, as a business owner. I'm concerned for the future of our country and the future generation. So definitely an F.
Okay, JT?
I'll have to fall right in line, unfortunately.
You guys are either, I'm trying to figure out if I want to take your class. Anyway, thank you guys for sharing your experiences with us. We've enjoyed being down here and getting to meet you and hear your story. So thank you.
Thank you for having us.
having
All right. That was great. I really appreciate them sharing their stories with us and their experiences. It's good to hear from people out there about what they're going through. So.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.